Hello, I'm Monica Price and welcome to Cuppa TV. Today I'm joined by Sarah Meredith and her daughter Brody, who've just won an award from the Lord Mayor for her work with Live His Smile, a charity started by the family. Also joining me today is Dr David Carr, who is a bishop, a published author and broadcaster, and finding time to write his own autobiography. My first guest is a young girl who recently won an award for her tireless work for the charity Live His Smile, which the family started following the sad death of their daughter and beloved sister who had Rett syndrome. We welcome Brody and Mum Sarah. Welcome both of you to the show. Hi Brody. Hi. How are you?
Good.
Are you good? And Sarah, lovely to see you. Thank you so much for coming on. So Brody, I start with you because it was you that I saw go up onto the stage and win that lovely award, which you brought along to show us today. So tell us a little bit about why you think you won the award.
Because for my work I do for the charity.
Which is Live His Smile.
Yeah.
Excellent. And what do you do? Do you work on that every day?
Most days.
Most days. So do you go to school and then come back and do some work on it?
Yeah.
What sort of things do you do?
I've done cake sales at school to raise money. I've won the Hug of All Heroes competition. And I do lots of fundraising for the charity.
And did it surprise you when they called out your name?
Yeah.
Did you? Because you looked a little bit shocked when I saw you walk up.
Yeah.
And did you think, oh my goodness me, why are they picking me?
Yeah.
And why do you think they did pick you?
I don't know. Because of all my work I do.
You work very hard. Mum Sarah, to bring you into the conversation, would you agree with that?
I do. I mean, Brody sells herself short. I mean, what she doesn't say is that, you know, when we do events, she gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, buttering like 9, 10 loaves of bread. And then when we do the actual event, she's there with the rubbish bin, picking up the rubbish or checking to see if the families are getting a cup of tea or coffee. She doesn't stop from the moment the day starts till it ends. And, you know, and it's like she says, like, you know, she comes home from school, she has ideas, she does planning.
It's quite inspirational, really, Brody. Yeah, that's it. So, Sarah, just take us back to the beginning when you lost your daughter and how this all started.
We lost Olivia in November 2008. Big shock. Although we knew she had Rett syndrome, which is a severe disability.
Yes, let's talk about Rett syndrome for people who don't understand.
Yeah.
What is Rett syndrome?
To describe Rett syndrome, if you imagine epilepsy, Parkinson, autism and cerebral palsy all rolled into one, you pretty much get Rett syndrome. It varies throughout, you know, severeness. There's some girls, but it's still a severe disability. I mean, Olivia, one of her main issues was seizures. You know, sometimes it was over 100 seizures a day. And, you know, abnormal breathing, just no control of her hands, just so much. I mean, if you know, the thing with Rett syndrome that I found so hard was that she developed normally. We had a normal 2-year-old, you know, she walked, she talked, and then in 6 weeks it all disappeared for the regression.
I mean, and how long from diagnosis did she survive?
She was officially diagnosed with Rett syndrome, I think she was about 4.5, because it took a long time to get there.
Yeah, tell us about that.
It was hard. Yeah, it was because she passed all her stages. When I went back to the doctors and said that, you know, that she's screaming, we've lost eye contact, we were faced with real, just no understanding. You know, she used to have severe reflux, and so she used to like give you back her breakfast at tea time and stuff. And the doctors that just didn't understand or just didn't comprehend that the child was walking, talking, was now not walking, was not talking. And we went through so much. I mean, I had 2 bright children that were like, you know, as they go through the scales, they were classed as gifted. And one doctor actually turned around and asked me if I just couldn't handle the fact that Olivia wasn't as bright as her sisters. One asked me if I wanted to believe there was something wrong with my child. And
how did that make you feel?
Our world had changed literally like in the last 6 weeks. We'd gone from this, I mean, she's been a placid young girl, but she was screaming constantly. She was so distressed, and I was trying to. I mean, at this point, I had 3 under 4, so you can imagine it was like toddlers everywhere.
Yes, I can.
And then Brody, you know, in a newborn. So it was quite hard, and you question yourself. You know, am I imagining it? Is it really this hard normally? And it was hard.
Tough times, very tough times.
Yeah, I can't tell you how tough it was. At times I just, you know, I'd wake up crying and go to bed crying. You know.
And I mean, and the support that you had at the time, you had a good family unit that you were supported by, but did you get any outside help or support?
No. We finally, after an hearing test, got referred to the Child Development Centre, and that was like pushed for. We got to the Child Development Centre, and at that point we were supposed to have a 2-week assessment. 2 days into it, they told me that she had a global learning disability, and that meant nothing at the point. You know, that can be anything. It's like the umbrella that will
what does that mean? Is it?
It just means that there's some disability somewhere, but nobody knows. You know, no cause, no reason. So we moved on dealing with a global learning disability, but I kept questioning, because the more I read, the more I realised that global learning disability should have been there from day one.
Really?
So I couldn't understand how she'd developed normally to lose all these skills. And then the one night we were sitting there and she had a seizure. And from that one seizure, she had 28 the first night.
28 the first night?
The first one they said was just an infant convulsion, and it won't happen again. Maybe she'd got a bit of a temperature. By the end of the night, there was 28. By the next day, we were in the 50s. And then we was in the hospital for 6 weeks from that point. And still no diagnosis.
I can't even imagine how that must have been for you, and the effect that must have had. But, you know, out of this has come the very good work that you're doing with Live His Smile. So, Brody, I'm going to go back to you. So how did it all start? Whose idea was it? Was it a family idea?
Yeah.
Was it? And why did you want to do it, Brody?
Because we made memories with Livy, and we wanted other families to have the opportunity to make memories with their children.
That's lovely. And what sort of thing? How did you begin? Did you just think, oh, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to start a charity? How did it all begin?
It was like a really big family decision, and we all had these ideas, and it just all came together, really.
Fantastic. So, sorry, what did you do? Did you then think, well, okay, we're going to do this, and out of the wanting to help others?
I don't think we expected it to go as, like, we kind of just wanted to do a memory making day to celebrate Olivia, and we were quite blessed as a family that we have the ability to get up and do stuff. And you know, Olivia went rock climbing, ice skating. You know, our family motto is never say never.
That's a good family motto.
You know,
is that a good family motto, Brody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If in doubt, we can find a way around it,
That's
can't
right.
we? So we decided we were just going to hold our first event was a donkey party. Now Olivia loved the special needs not special needs donkey, the donkey that has special needs children go to. And she loves it there, and we decided that we were just going to throw a party there and just invite all friends and the school and you know, the children from school, because I'd done a lot of work with the parents, and some find it really hard to get out there, to go out. They struggle, you know, maybe with transport, but a lot of it is having a disabled child is so isolating. You know, it's very hard to do lunch when your child's the one throwing themselves on the floor. Or so we decided we just wanted to do a day where all they had to do was turn up and enjoy. And so we did some karaoke's, didn't we? And different just family karaoke's, invited friends, family, and raffles, and name the teddy bear. And
fantastic.
we managed, and then the first event was it just went fantastic. It was just well received, and also the smiles that we were just shocked by the effect it actually had. And because charities are fantastic when they offer support and raise money for funds, but we wouldn't have survived, I don't think, without our memories. And so that's what we keep us going, is our memories, and we just wanted to be able to create them
and do some for the same people.
Yeah, I mean,
and what's anything coming up? What sort of events have you got coming up, Brody? What are you organising at the moment?
Livy's 16th birthday.
Livy's 16th birthday. Okay, when is that?
The 5th of May.
Okay, and what are you going to do?
It's like having a party.
Fantastic.
Everyone's like, instead of like, some people donate, they don't donate because they don't think they're putting that much money towards. So we're just asking them to donate like £16 and eat a piece of cake and just remember all the memories.
Oh, that's great. And where will you do that? Where would that be hosted?
It's more of an online event.
Oh, fantastic.
We're actually having a family get-together, but Olivia would be 16.
Great.
And when you're fundraising, a lot of people, money's tight. So instead of asking people to pledge, you know, hundreds, we decided to just ask more to pledge £16.
Well, it's fantastic. Well, you know, we've run out of time, I'm afraid, but it's been wonderful. Thank you so much, Brody, for coming in. And thank you, Sarah, for joining us. And well done, Brody, on your award. Well done. Fantastic. Welcome back to Cuppa TV. Joining me now is a man who has so many titles: author, broadcaster, public speaker, but his real passion is as a bishop, where he's a powerful and prolific preacher here in the UK and across the world. We welcome Dr David Carr. David, so lovely to see you.
Wow, I didn't recognise myself.
What an introduction.
Oh, do it again.
David, it is, I mean, when I was reading up about you, there's so many things that you do that you could spend all day here at
I
Cuppa
find
TV.
it's hard for the police to catch you if you do a lot of things.
Your passion, though, is your bishop. So tell us about that first of all. Where do you practice?
Well, I'm based in Renewal Christian Centre in Solihull, but I have my seat at Wroxall Abbey, which is in Warwickshire, and we cover about 8 or 9 countries, about 5 million people, 5,000 churches.
I mean, that's staggering.
Well, it's taking in Catholic, Orthodox, Protestant. It's an order of inclusion.
And how long have you been in?
Have I been ministry?
Yes,
that's
ministry.
the word I'm looking for.
I'm looking for.
Yes. I've been based in a ministry for 43 years, and alongside that, I was in football for 21 years, doing the two side by side.
Really?
I was called the Rev in the football world. Yeah.
So I was going to say to you, you've had that passion for football through most of your life, and you still continue to do so.
Well, I don't go to many matches. I mean, somebody in my congregation said, "Have you ever seen Oxford United play?" I said, "I didn't know they ever did." But then I started watching Oxford, and so I thought it was such a less competitive game down there. So I tend to go down to Oxford United now and see how people suffer just like other people in the world.
So there's no West Midland.
Well, as a boy, I was brought up to support Birmingham City, but as Jasper Carrott said, they always thought Birmingham was called Birmingham Nil. Thought that was the name. But when I was in football, I did a lot of work for Birmingham, a lot of work for Aston Villa, for the Wolves, for Albion. You know, as a congregation, I have a lot of these ex-footballers in the congregation, like Darren Moore and Cyril Regis. They're all part of my congregation. So I've kept in touch in football that way.
So that's kind of, you always got your foot in almost.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
still keep an eye on it.
And then tell us about your role as a bishop. Let's stay with that just for a second, because you do so many other things. But what inspires you to keep doing what you're doing, David?
I suppose I had such an encounter with the Christian faith when I was younger. I was 18, totally illiterate. Couldn't read and write, 5 major psychological phobias, and I just felt a total failure, felt totally unloved, totally unaccepted. I was throwing people out of nightclubs in the centre of Birmingham, so I got my wonderful looks, broken nose, beaten up one night by 4 drug addicts. And I just suddenly said to myself one day, life's got to be more than this. And I never didn't believe in a God. I didn't know who he was. And I just said one day, if you're real, change my life, because life sucks, to put it bluntly. And I felt such a transformation happened in my life. Within 2 years, I could read by reading the Bible. 5 years, I could do maths in my head. The phobias went, battled through them all, every one of them. Some of them were quite severe. And so when you've had a transforming experience like that, it gives you passion. And so that's taken me on a walk of 43 years and taken me all around the world. And I've seen broken lives changed. You tend to have a compassion when you've been there yourself. You know, sometimes, you know, we can't empathise with people. We've never been there. But I know what it's like not to be able to read and be embarrassed. I know what it's like not to be able to write, so you can't fill forms in. I know what it's like to be frightened 24 hours a day and live in permanent fear. And once you've experienced that and come out of it, then it gives you that passion, because you say, well, if my faith did that to me, then why can't I help others?
And is that what made you think about becoming an author? Or was it, again, were you always writing?
No,
for your
I mean,
journey?
from a person who's never couldn't even write his name, people were coming up to me and they were saying, the teachings you're giving are just absolutely incredible. When have you written your last book? And I said, never written a book in my life. I couldn't read books. And so I started writing books, and then I've done about 6 or 7 of them now. I'm selling them in 4 or 5 different countries. And then they came to me and they said, you're getting on a wee bit. And I said, thank you. That was just my wife. You're getting on a wee bit. You've had such an incredible life, being involved, as I said, being illiterate, born just as the war was ending. Second World War, not the First World. And then they said, you've been in football, you've managed nearly all the big top stars, you've travelled the world preaching, you know, bishop, and you're looking after sort of African countries. Why don't you put that in a book? So I thought, well, my life's been split into 2, football and Christian ministry. So I called it, would you believe, a life of 2 halves.
Oh, excellent.
So,
fun on the
bit of a parody on the football
that's right.
phrase.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So yes, we're based in Solihull, married with 3 grown-up children, 4 grandchildren, 2 dogs, 1 psychopathic, but you need to be a bishop to have a psychopathic dog, you know.
And if you had to stop doing any one of those things that you do, which one would you be able to give
Well, I
up?
stopped football. I was at the height. I was the director of the Professional Footballers Association, earning very, very good money, and I walked out of that to be a minister. So the answer would be, out of all those, I'd give up everything for my ministry.
Were people shocked when you did that, David?
Yes, they were. And in fact, in football, Gordon Taylor, who was my boss, he didn't believe I'd ever give it up. I walked away from thousands. And when I did leave, Brendan Batson, who was the assistant director, he said to me, David, we knew we was always second best to God. And he said, we knew one day you'd leave us. And he said, I just hope dealing with footballers has helped you. And it has, because I had 700 footballers I used to manage.
And how has that helped you, do you think?
Well, it's helped me because, you see, a footballer's life starts at 16 and finishes at 35 normally, often before that. So you see the whole of a man's career in just those short times. Normally you'd start work at 16, 18, and you would leave at 65, 70. So I saw the whole development of a person's life. I saw the crisis. I saw the elation when they got into a team, depression when they got injured. I saw them get married. Sadly, some of them get divorced. I saw their children. I saw them buying properties, buying businesses, collapsing, getting involved, some people, with maybe alcohol or drugs and dependency. So I saw the whole of life personified in a footballer. So by the time I became a minister, I'd dealt with happiness, sadness, death. I'd had footballers die on me. I'd had Peter Houseman and his wife got killed in a car crash, and I'd only sorted out their finances 24 hours before. Then I sat 24 hours later in an empty house with them both dead, leaving 2 little children. So I'd seen the whole of life. And so as a minister, I didn't have to sort of learn that. I'd really had experience. And of course, dealing with very, very famous people, you could deal with anybody. Nothing fazed you. So I met somebody important. Well, you know, more important than Brian Robson or Andy Gray and Mark Lawrenson. I've dealt with all those. And so it gave you an affinity to be able to speak to people at all level and not be fazed by any type of thing. So you're dealing with multi-million-pound footballers. Person with a financial crisis is no big deal because you've got them out of problems. You can get these out of problems. So I brought those skill factors into my ministry.
And that's why you are what you are, really, because you give very prolific preachings, and you're respected around the world, and not just here. You are.
Have you heard that?
I have. That's what it said. And will you continue to do that, David? Is that the future for you? You don't want to give any of this up?
No, I've made. My wife would be totally shocked if I stopped at home. She loves to say goodbye to me in the morning. She goes, good morning, and make sure you're not back till late. And you see, retirement is an attitude of mine. And I don't find anywhere in the Bible that it says that anybody retired. Most of them were martyred, but I don't want to get onto that. No, I think if you've got the energy and the passion, you don't talk about retirement. So I've got I'm 70 next month, I've got no plans to retire at all as long as I'm physically capable. I do about a 50-hour week. I've cut it down from about 65. So you've got to be easy. You've got to be sensible when you're getting
Just
older.
be sensible,
But no,
absolutely,
to me, it's not a job. It's not a career. It's a calling. It's a passion.
Is there anything left that you'd like to do? A country perhaps you'd like to visit?
Well, I suppose, being a royalist that I am, I have, this year, I've met the Pope, had lunch with him. I've met the Prime Minister, had tea with him. And I would love to meet the Queen. So if there's anybody there who's got her address, phone number, just phone her. And say, madam, ma'am.
This is the man. And then you can come back on Cuppa TV
Well,
and tell us all about
they
it.
say she's only... I've seen her from a distance. I've been to a garden party. They said she's only small. And I want to see her before I'm so old that I can bow before her and have the strength to get back up again.
Yes.
So, ma'am, if you're watching...
She always watches it every day.
Well, they tell me she's just turned on there by special means.
Yes, exactly.
So, no, I'd love to meet the Queen.
Yeah. Oh, that would be lovely. But, I mean, just to finish off, David, if you could say one thing to all the people that are out there, young people, we have young, slightly more mature guests on our show, what would you say to give them hope and just to, you know, is there a mantra in your life that you
I mean, to me,
by?
of course, it's my Christian faith, and you'd expect me to say that as a cleric.
Thank you, David. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you.
It's a joy to be with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's it for today, I'm afraid. So thank you for watching Cuppa TV, and thank you to my guest today. Please come back and join us again soon. And if you would like to get in touch with us, you can join us on Facebook or Twitter at Big Centre TV, or you can email the show and share us your stories. Bye-bye.